What's up everybody, it's Paul from Boosted Films, and in this video we're going to change the engine air filter and cabin air filter on this 2020 Chevy Silverado with a 5.3 liter engine. Alright, so we're going to start with the engine air filter change, and of course the first thing we need to do is pop our hood. So on the driver's side of the vehicle, down where the driver's side knee would be, basically, there's this hood latch that you pull to release your hood. And towards the front of the car here, just above that Chevy bow tie, you should be able to stick your finger in just below the hood and then find the latch. You got to bring it to the right here, and that should release that safety latch, and then your hood should come up. And now here's our air box on the right side of the screen. That air box is where the air filter sits. It splits into two, and that's where the air kind of funnels into the engine. We're going to have to remove the hose that connects to that air box to lift that air box up and out of the way. So one of the first things I'm going to do here is remove this clamp. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver for this, so that should be the only tool you need, but we're going to loosen up this clamp right away. And then we're going to pull off our mass airflow sensor. There's this little red tab in here. You slide that out, and then you should be able to squeeze and pull, and then that should pull off. And now you've unplugged your mass airflow sensor there. And I'm going to cut ahead a little bit just to show you where these three screws are, because it's kind of hard to see them with the top of this cover in place, but you can see I'm pointing to all three spots here. So kind of one on the right side, one on the top, and one on the left. So those are the three screws you need to remove to get this airbox separated. So I'm going to speed up this footage a little bit, but you can see me removing the first screw here, and then a screw towards kind of the top part as I referred to it earlier. And then one towards the firewall here. You need a little longer screwdriver to get to this one. So we're going to take out all three of those screws, and now the top should be a bit loose, the top of that airbox. I should have took this off sooner. I didn't know it was Velcroed. I don't know if all the trucks have this box, this modular thing, whatever, up here. But this was just Velcroed on, and once I figured out it was Velcroed on and I could just easily remove it and then put it back in place, I just separated the two Velcro pieces and set it out of the way. Next, we got to pull off this hose. This hose was tougher to get off than I thought it should be, but it fits on there pretty tight. So you got to pull that off, give it a little muscle to pull it free. And then once you pull that loose and get it out of the way, you should be able to lift up this top part of the airbox a bit and also bring it away from where I am. So on watching the screen right now, you want to bring it to the left, more towards the engine, because there are some slots where it kind of slides into that you kind of need to pull it out of those slots. And of course, just be mindful of that hose you disconnected as well as you pull the top of your airbox out of the way. And of course, now you can actually see our engine air filter here, the orange edging on it. And you should be able to pull out that air filter pretty easily now that you have the airbox separated. So we're going to pull that out right away. And then here's our new engine air filter. And I always like to compare the old to the new. So I'm going to pull this new one out of the box here and make sure it looks like it's going to fit the right way. Of course, it is this kind of a little bit oddly shaped filter here, and that's good, at least for us, that it looks like we're matching the same filters. This one filter seemed to have this extra piece on the bottom compared to the other one to filter a bit more stuff, I guess, but it looked like it would still fit the same regardless, so we should be good to go with our new air filter. If there's any larger debris inside that bottom part of the airbox, go ahead and just pull it out of there. You could even use a vacuum if you'd like. But then, yeah, just go ahead and set your new air filter in place. It should just drop in, sit pretty firmly. And I'm going to show you those three slots I mentioned on this side towards this driver's fender. You can see where there's three openings here that you need to watch for when you put the top of the airbox back in place. And here you can see the corresponding notches in that airbox that you're going to want to line up and slide in place. So that's one of the first things you're going to kind of do once you get this top airbox set down. Obviously, you got to move stuff around to be able to get it set in place. That hose that we removed, you got to push that kind of air intake hose out of the way a little bit. And then also watch for some of the wires that are more towards the firewall side to make sure you're not pinching anything down, of course, when you set this cover on. So you can see I'm taking a look down in there, looking for where to slide those into the slots, make sure they're lined up as I kind of slide it that way. And once it was slid in, I knew I could reattach this hose here, this flex hose again, reconnecting it. Be careful with this. Again, it came off hard and went on a little harder than I thought it would. I actually pinched my finger a little bit once I kind of realized I had to get the bottom part of this hose back, slid on. The top started sliding on first, and then when I tried to get the bottom part on, my finger was kind of stuck down there a little bit between the airbox and this hose. So that's just something that could happen, I guess. Again, gives a little force, but squeeze it down in there and get it all the way back on in place. Next, I'm going to put those 3 screws back in that we removed that hold this top of the airbox to the bottom part of the airbox. So we're going to go ahead and get those started. Again, I apologize for not showing you those. It's a little harder to actually see no matter what I did with the camera here. But you can see as I sped this up that I'm just going to go through and tighten up all 3 of these screws that hold the top of the airbox to the bottom part of the airbox. And then, of course, we need to tighten up that hose clamp that we loosened up to get that part of the hose back on that connects to the airbox. So we're going to use our flathead screwdriver to tighten up that hose clamp. And then after that, we need to reconnect that plug-in that we unplugged for that sensor. So that should just kind of push on and snap in. You'll hear it snap in place. And then push that red piece back in to hold it in, and then you should be all set. In this module thing, if you have this isolation module piece, then we're going to put that back to where it was as well. And there we go. Now we're just going to make sure we don't have anything under the hood. We're going to take our screwdrivers out from where we had them set. Make sure we have everything tightened up, looking good, ready to go. You should be able to set your hood down and then close it all the way. Now we're going to move on to the cabin air filter, and that's going to be on the passenger side of the vehicle. So we're going to open up our passenger side door. We're going to move our seat back just to give us a little extra room here to work. And then I'm going to open up the glove box. If there's anything in your glove box, go ahead and take stuff out of your glove box. We're going to drop the glove box down and take it out of the way here. And the way we drop it down is by squeezing these side pieces here. So that is kind of the first step, other than the fact that there's a soft open arm on the left side. You're going to see me squeeze here and drop the box, and this one comes out all the way because that soft open arm on that left side here was not connected right. So to remove it though, you do just kind of put your thumb usually in there and then pop it out of place. You should hear it kind of pop free, and you should be able to do that before you actually squeeze the box to drop it down. Normally that's the way it would work to pop that free. But if yours came out like mine too, you should be able to get it back together as well, if that was the case. So now we're down underneath where the glove box was. You can see this cover here is the cover that blocks where our cabin air filter is. So on the left side is where it hooks in place. I kind of dug my finger back in there to give it a bit of a pull towards the back so I could free it up. But you could kind of squeeze that side part too, but it's kind of tougher to squeeze it. And then you pull it to the left. It has to slide to the left, and then it kind of slides off. I'm going to give you a better shot of that here. So you can see it slides over, and then it should pull out. And here's that clip that holds it on the left side. So that's what you want to get free to unclip that cover. This cabin air filter was a really tight fit compared to some I've seen in the past, but we're going to use a screwdriver to help us get that initially free. And then we're going to pull out this cabin air filter here. Note, this one just has a down arrow on it, but typically the airflow direction is down. So just be mindful of airflow direction and look at whatever filter you're installing to note that the airflow direction of it is down. And again, this one actually looked pretty much brand new here, so that's good. It looked like good shape. Yours probably doesn't look as new, but you never know. So we're going to pull our old cabin air filter out, and similar to the engine air filter, I'm just going to compare it. Make sure the old one looks just like the new one. Make sure it's the same shape, and it'll fit about the same. And again, noting the airflow direction on the side where it tells you what the airflow direction is, and then you're going to have that airflow arrow pointed down when you reinstall. And of course, reinstalling is pretty simple. You should just be able to slide it up in place. Although I will say it's a bit tight towards the top of the glove box part there, top of the dash. It's really right up against there, but you should be able to, of course, just slide it in place. And then it should sit beyond flush. It should be in there just a little bit. And then, of course, we're going to put our cover back in place. And this can really only go on one way, so it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. You're going to kind of be mindful of those center tabs, those center pieces that slide in. Have them just to the left a little bit of the center. And then you should be able to just slide it in place. Slide it over to the right. And then after you slide it over to the right, you should be able to just push on that left side and hear it snap in place. And here's just a close-up shot showing what it will look like when that cover is back in place. And back to that soft open arm here. You can see I pushed this back in place. I just kind of had to pop it back in basically. And then this arm kind of slowly opens and closes, and it's adjustable, which will come to help when we put this back in place. For now though, look at the hinges. You can see where these 4 spots where this glove box hinges on the bottom on that bar. So you set it on those hinges. We're going to lift it up, and then a little bit, we're going to lift it up a little bit. I'm going to change camera angle so you can see this is kind of how you would have, again, kind of released it initially, most likely. But we're going to stretch this out a bit, and then we're just going to pop it in place. And now we're just going to squeeze the sides of the glove box a little bit as we lift up. You might not even have to do that. It is beveled a little bit, that where if you just bring the glove box back up in place, it should kind of just pop back up in. But we're just going to squeeze these sides a little bit since they're flexible, and bring it up, and we should be all set. Now our glove box can open and close just like it did before. And there you go. You have successfully changed the engine air filter and cabin air filter in your Chevy Silverado. We'll close our door and we're all done. So there you have it. Of course, I am just a guy on YouTube who likes to document what he does. So if I did anything wrong, or if you know a better way of doing something, please leave a comment section down below. Let me know, if there's something that could have been done differently. Also, if you could, to help out others that might have a similar vehicle, but maybe just a little different year or maybe a different model. If you let me know if this procedure worked like the same for your vehicle, that'd be great to put in the comments as well. So other people with your particular vehicle could just potentially skim the comments and take a look and find out if this will work for them as well. And of course, if you found this video helpful at all, leaving a thumbs up or a like or subscribing, all that stuff does help me out. So I appreciate if you do any of that as well. But otherwise, this is Paul from Boosted Films saying thanks so much for watching.